Hello, welcome to the Eclectic Reader. Listen to great books and stories while you use your eyes and hands for other things. Now here's your host, Madison Mason.
Well, this is chapter 35 of The Gray Quarry Boys, and it just seems to get better. The Gray Quarry Boys, chapter 35, The Plan. Eddie had made a bad enemy, but he didn't care. He wanted to hurt this bastard even more if he could. He knew that if he had to defend himself or Valerie against this evil, he would kill, even die. There was no doubt in his 11-year-old mind. He walked as casually as he could behind the counter and popped the top of a big RC Cola and gulped it down as Tommy returned to work. "You're shaking, kid. What's the matter?" "Fine. Nothing I can't handle," Eddie said, trying to control the pounding of his heart. He saw Richie out of the corner of his eye come out into the jukebox area and look for him. Richie had on his bathing suit a tight black Jansen, which only accentuated his powerful chest and shoulder muscles. Richie eyed him hard and raised his arm, pointing right at Eddie's head like a gun, and pulled the trigger in silent murder. But Eddie was beyond the edge now, and casually raised both middle fingers to Richie in return. Two males, one big, one small, glared steady until Sandra put her arm around Richie's shoulders and whispered "baby, baby, baby" in his ear, and they slowly danced, forgetting about little creeps like Eddie. But Eddie wasn't about to forget. He kept his eyes on Richie at all times. After a while, he saw Sandra and Richie wander to the other side of the lake, arms around shoulders, and settle on their towels. Only when they were that far out of range did he feel safe to come out from behind the counter and the protection of Tommy's sweaty mass. Valerie broke away from the circle of guys and came to him, put her arm around his shoulder and hugged him to her. "What was that all about, sweetie?" Her voice was butterscotch. It made him feel like crying. "Nothing," he lied, trying to protect her. "Did he say anything about me? Is that what happened? Because if he did, I want you to know it is a lie." "I would never let him say anything." Eddie was vehement. Valerie laughed gently and scuffled his hair. "I wouldn't let him talk about you either. Hey, you know what I want, sugar baby? I want some sugar babies, sugar baby. Would you get me some?" She plopped another quarter in his hand, and he trotted over to the counter and grabbed a pack of the candy, making change. She watched his slender form cross back to the bench, this tan, healthy American kid, and loved him for his innocence. He touched something still childlike in her soul. Eddie, her dutiful puppy. "Here you go." "Why, thank you," she smiled. "You want one?" "Sure." Valerie Sands took out one of the candy beans and put it between her perfectly shaped teeth. She smiled wickedly. "Here," she mumbled. Eddie reached up to take it out of her mouth. With your teeth," she laughed. He stopped and looked at her and blushed, which made her laugh again. He mustered courage and leaned into her to take it out of her mouth with his. As he neared her mouth, he could smell the sweetness of her being, her wet breath, the sun on her cheeks, the giddy perfume of her hair. He felt her lips gently brush his and the warm air from her nostrils against his skin as he lifted the sweet nugget from her mouth. He stumbled back, dizzy, and she laughed as she caught him. That wasn't so bad, was it?" He felt the way he had when he drank that glass of port wine his mother gave him on Christmas Eve because they were alone. That was when his father was stationed in Germany. Now he was drunk with love for Valerie Sands, and he wanted more. He grabbed the pack from her and grinned slyly. "My turn," he giggled, barely coherent, and popped a sugar baby in his mouth. That one he ate, couldn't help it. She laughed her glorious music. Then he put one between his teeth. As Valerie came close to get it, they started giggling, and he couldn't control himself. He grabbed her face and planted a warm kiss smack on her soft lips, and his young heart sang with the jukebox. He lifted off the ground as if he were floating. Finally, she pulled away. "Hey, stud, take it easy," she laughed. "You take a girl's breath away. I'm a little old for you, don't forget." "Have mercy." Some little girl's going to be very lucky pretty soon. Where did you learn to kiss like that? You want to do it again? He gasped. I think maybe not. Thank you very much. I couldn't take a lot of that. Besides, I might get arrested for messing with a minor. We're friends, aren't we? Yeah, what's that got to do with just be my little friend, okay? She smiled and patted his cheek, but the rejection hurt, and he realized he must have touched her more than either expected. He tried to relax. Whatever she wanted them to be was all right with him, so long as he could be around her. That's all he cared about. Her word was law. Valerie didn't know how deep his love flowed. To her he was sweet, and it was a puppy thing, but there was nothing puppy about this love. This was fierce and powerful, and the fact that it was contained in a small package belied its lofty passion. Valerie took up most of his waking thoughts and all of his dreams. She didn't know that he seriously considered leaving his mother, running away to live with her in Sanford, her town 20 miles away, to renounce school and devote his life to her soft and radiant beauty. She didn't know he cried for her at night, alone in the old farmhouse he shared with his mother. She didn't know she lived in his heart. She knew nothing of his plans to marry her and take care of her forever, to make love to her like a man, to give his life and everything in it for only her, for Valerie, Valera. I'm going to go get some sun. Would you rub some oil on my back? She asked, as if he would be doing the favor. He wanted to say something clever, but sure was all that came out. His face glowed moonlike with love, and he knew he probably wore that stupid, goofy grin he hated so. He wished he was more suave, cool, like Mickey the Golden Lifeguard, an object of respect and not a bony, gangly, freckled, snaggle-toothed kid. But Valerie didn't seem to notice that part. She took her towel and coppertone in one hand, putting her other hand lazily on his hot brown shoulder as they strolled toward the beach. How's your mom doing? She asked. She didn't know Eddie's mom, but she always inquired after her, as if they were best friends. Eddie told Valerie everything, things he could never tell anyone else, and she was the same with him. He told her about how his dad was gone for months at a time, and how he was his mom's little man and looked after her when she had her asthma attacks. She asked him about his dad's alcohol. That was something Valerie understood. Her old man used to try all sorts of stuff with her when she was his age, and finally she had pulled a knife on him when he kept touching her in the wrong way. As they rounded the other side of the lake, Eddie didn't notice Richie and Sandra until it was too late. Suddenly he felt a searing pain in his neck, and he heard the hated voice as Richie cursed through his teeth. Right, you little fuck, I'm going to drown your useless, scrawny ass. Richie Stargill had Eddie's neck in a pincher grip, tendons standing out on his powerful forearm. His eyes were bloodshot with anger. Get your hands off of him, Richie. I mean it, damn it, right now. Valerie stood defiantly in front of the brutish hick and glared straight into his face. She had absolutely no fear. Richie let Eddie back down onto his feet. He's a kid. Pick on somebody your own size, you big muscle-bound dumbass. You're disgusting. Valerie was furious. Richie backed off under her gaze and laughed. Eddie was busy rubbing his stinging neck and trying not to cry. Little boyfriend's about your speed, Val. He's twice the man you are, creep. Eddie swelled with pride at this news. It concurred with everything he thought as well, but didn't have the physical strength to back up. So keep your hands to yourself and grow up. Richie pierced Eddie with hate. I'm going to get you, kid. Your puny ass is mine, so be ready. I'm trembling, Richie, Eddie braved. The fact is, he was trembling. Valerie was kind enough not to notice, but she rubbed the red scrapes on the sides of his neck and spoke softly as they walked away. Did that jerk hurt you, honey? You okay? I'm okay, he lied. His neck was aching. I hate that stupid son of a bitch. Pardon my French. He's crude and vulgar, and he likes to hurt people. I went out with him the other night because I was bored. I thought I was going to be raped. I almost had to knock him out. What a jackass. He's probably one of those guys with 3 inches. She exploded in laughter at this one. Eddie smiled lamely, though he knew that not to be true. But his mind was on other things. They found a spot in the sun, and Valerie spread her towel and stretched out, her sinuous form elongating like a panther in the jungle light. Eddie watched her with emotions broiling, adoration of this unattainable woman, feelings of compromise, his love for his mother, and what he felt for Valerie, who could so easily replace her if he let it happen. The guilt he felt confused him. His fear and hatred of Richie, Eddie's need for his distant, non-existent father, all these thoughts and feelings swirled around him, subtle cyclones through his heart in the bright sunlight, and she didn't know at all. He opened the brown bottle, and the scent flew him back to the first time he had ever smelled Coppertone, right here at this lake, when he met her for the first time. She'd winked and told him he was cute. It was all over for him after that. Love at first flirt. He rubbed the thick oil softly over the curves of her shoulders and massaged her skin the way he did with his mom when she was sick. Valerie moaned softly. That feels wonderful. Where did you learn to do that? You want to come live with me? Yes, I do. I want to live with you. Valerie opened her eyes and smiled up at him softly, then closed them again and seemed deep in thought. What was she thinking? Was she making plans too? He rubbed her shoulders, smoothing her back and arms as if he were creating sculpture, although the curves were already there. His thumbs pushed gently, tracing her delicate musculature. Even at this age, he was masterful at massage. Finally, he finished her fingers and toes, then blended the oil perfectly over her body so the sun would color her divine form evenly. She reached out and took his hand, never opening her eyes, and held it a moment. She smiled as he leaned down and gently touched her cheek, brushing aside the billowy jet curls that fell across her face and blocked the sunshine. Nothing more was said. After a few moments, he rose and walked around the lake to the concession stand, the first part of his plan now in action.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of The Eclectic Reader. Please go on to the next numbered episode to continue. Also, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you'd like to help support the project, you can donate under Madison Mason at Patreon. And please, check out our website, kltkrdr.com, for more information.
Hi, this is Madison Mason. I want to personally thank you for listening to The Eclectic Reader and invite you to share your experience, your thoughts, and your suggestions. We have many great books lined up for the future, but if you have requests for anything that is in the public domain, please email us at kltkrdr@gmail.com.
kltkrdr@gmail.com